What's up, folks, and welcome to this week's episode of the Pilot Review Show. I am Captain Blade J52, and I am joined for our first show of the new year by TeacherKirby.
Oh, howdy, folks.
And our dancing psychopath. Oh, wait, no, that's Kirby. Never mind. I was going to say our dancing psychopath Artie, but wrong character.
Further down.
But, yeah, a little further down over there. But, anyways, our first show of the new year got some interesting stuff to discuss for you guys. So I suppose we should go ahead and get right into it. But we're broadcasting today from the Winter Wonderland, since this will probably be our last show with this in the game still, at least until next year, so we thought, why not?
It'll be so sad.
Anyways.
No more Klingon ice fishing.
Yeah, no more ice fishing,
Okay.
no more simulated snowmen, all that good stuff. But
I know.
it's been good. So let's go ahead and dive into this stuff. We had for our console players, a Tholian Red Alert weekend. Where you could go in there, get some easy marks, beat up on some Tholians, get a decent little chunk of XP out of it still. I believe this is most definitely over by now. Yep.
Yeah. But I do like how they opened it with a RP blog. A bit of a role-playing blog, and then said, join part of the strike force to defeat the Tholian Nebula and the Azure Nebula. So it told you where it was. It did go until January 2nd. Sorry, we didn't do a New Year's Eve show, so we are a bit late on this.
Yeah.
So this tells me they'll be running them as weekends between the Tholian and the Borg Red Alerts, at least for a while, for consoles. So keep your eye out.
Which makes sense, and I'm glad to see that console players are finally able to get a hold of some of these red alerts, because they are a nice little quick marks generator, nice little quick piece of XP whenever you need something. But definitely keep an eye out on these weekends for you guys and everything. But I see somebody in the chat saying they've had a few issues with the Tholian red alerts. Just throwing this out there, dude, but maybe PM one of us your build and everything just to see if maybe that's an issue, and it could just be bad teammates too. No idea, but we're more than willing to help you out. But moving right along, the Xbox did finally get their winter sale and everything. These were hopefully everybody able to get in on some of these cheap prices, some of these discounts, some of them pretty sizable. If you bought the...
Yeah.
Go ahead.
The Xbox One Gold Captains got a increasing discount on Zen from 15 to 25%, depending on the quantity bought. And let's see, and the rest of them, yeah, I'm not sure. It doesn't say on the other blog. But they did get a nice sale. I believe there was another blog that mentioned they're going to have, third, here it is. All captains will save 25% on all items / packs in-game on Xbox One. So they get 25% off the entire C-store. So that is definitely a good sale. Sorry, I didn't misread it.
I think that was
Sorry,
actually
I misread it for the first second. Yep.
Yeah, that was actually our next blog and everything. But yeah, most definitely was some very good stuff for everybody, whatnot. Like I say, we are behind on some of these things due to not having done a New Year's Eve special, which, in retrospect, probably could have done, but it's good to take a little bit of time off once in a while. Everything.
Exactly. So I do hope all the Xbox captains got to take advantage of those sales, especially since they didn't have the Christmas sale that was timed that the others did. This was your Christmas sale, so I hope you got to take advantage of it.
Absolutely. Definitely some good stuff for you guys and everything. And although we did miss some of these events, we do have some other good stuff that we're going to be talking about for you guys in a couple of minutes. But I think this one's getting ready to wrap up. This is the Infinity R&D pack. This was okay, that ended 2 days ago.
That has finished, yeah.
I thought that had a couple extra days on it, but yeah. So
I would say the big thing to remember with that, you won't be able to purchase the Infinity R&D pack from the C-store anymore, but you may be able to snag one off the exchange or trade a couple with your friends. You know, if you have something they want and they've got the Infinity pack still, they will still contain all the goodies that they had before if you bought them from the C-store prior to, the end of the event. So they won't lose their special standing.
Absolutely.
Important to remember.
Yeah, that's definitely a question that we've heard and had posed to us a lot. Can you still get them? You can't get new packs since the event's ended, but like Kirby was saying, you can still trade for packs that have already been opened and that still do have the status that were left over that didn't get opened. But yeah, if you were somebody looking for, maybe you wanted to go for your Anorax, maybe you wanted to go for one of the Bug ships, maybe you wanted a Cheshire, or even the 23rd century ship, that was a good time to do it. And these packs, they're definitely starting to run them a lot more. So definitely keep an eye out for that, because even if you don't get a ship, that's a guaranteed 10 low buy every single pack that you open. So if nothing else, in my opinion, it's worth it for the low buy.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
But moving along, we had our R&D sale. This one will actually end in Monday. So
yep, that's current right now.
So this one is current right now. So if you're looking to buy R&D packs, now keep in mind this does not contain the R&D Infinity pack that we mentioned a minute ago. This is just a discount on R&D packs themselves. So if you're looking to build up some of your R&D materials, you got some extra Zen burning a hole in your pocket, don't really care what you spend it on, but you just want to spend it on something, this is a good chance to do that. Definitely get some pretty decent stuff usually whenever you buy them. But that's our current sale going on at the moment. But
yes,
moving right along to this, we have our last chance for the Jem'Hadar Strike ships. This is for our console players, and this will be running until... Actually, that's already over. Good lord. We really are behind.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, we really are behind this week, folks. That's,
Well, I do want to mention they are doing something different they haven't done before, and I don't know if this is the influence of our new community manager, but we haven't seen these last chance blogs, these reminder blogs, in the last week of the sale of a long sale or a long promotion before. So this is something new, and I like it.
Absolutely. Definitely lets folks know what's going on, gets the information out there, and maybe
reminds them.
Maybe gets some ships into the hands of people that have been wanting to try them too. So definitely some good stuff. Yeah, hopefully if you were a console player, you were able to get in on this. I personally don't have the Tier 6 version. I just now actually got my Tier 5 bug ship with the Phoenix box recently, so overall, I like it. I'd love to test out the specialized seating, but yeah, definitely a good ship for console guys if you had a chance to check that out. But moving right along to another current bundle that is actually going on and coming to the consoles is the Guardian bundle. Now, the Guardian is a ship we've had for a while, along with the Matah Raptor and the Alil Warbird battlecruiser. These are actually some of the first Intel ships that we got on PC. Everything. And
oh no, yeah, Intel, my bad.
Yeah. You can see some of the stats that we've got here and everything. I believe this is... Yep, this is the C-Store variation. Do they have the fleet versions in the blog? No, they do not.
I don't see it.
No, I don't see them.
Nope.
Okay, so they don't have
That
the...
doesn't mean they won't be releasing them, but...
Just means they don't
see
have them
them
in this
talked
blog. But yeah. Far as
Yeah.
our Guardian Cruiser goes, it starts out with 53k base hull at level 60, 43,725 at level 50, a shield modifier of 1, and I see a bit of a outdated reference there to the old crew stat. So, looks like a little bit of a copy-paste if I had to venture to guess.
Copy-paste.
Yep. Which I don't blame
Yeah.
them, it saves time. I'd do it too.
It happens.
I will freely admit that. Then a 4-4 weapons
Yes,
layout
I do it
with
as well.
4 device slots. For our bridge officer stations, we have a Lieutenant Commander Tactical, a Lieutenant Intel Engineering, a Commander Engineering, Lieutenant Commander Science, and Ensign Universal. Then you have for consoles...
This actually sets up...
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. I was going to say this actually sets itself up to be a decent tanking officer layout.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I know it's... I'll have to admit, this is a ship that kind of, for me, was a sleeper hit. It's one that I didn't really think too highly of until I actually got a hold of the ship, and it's just like, wow, this is actually a good ship. This is something that I like.
This is quite nice.
Yeah, it's done me well, and I definitely encourage you guys to check it out if you're somebody like me that likes to tank. Now, I would have liked to have seen maybe the Commander Engineering be in the Intel seat, but even though you get just the 2 technical Intel abilities, that's still a decent amount of abilities you can play with. Everything.
Yeah, it is.
Then we have, for the console, the Particle Conversion Matrix. When activated, your shields will become significantly more durable, allowing them to absorb even more damage for a short time. During this time, any incoming enemy weapon fire has a high chance of boosting your own energy weapon damage. So this is a pretty good console. Everything before we end the show, I may be able to head back to ESD and show you guys what the console actually looks like. But definitely worth it, I think. Everything. Then we have the Mata Raptor we'll take a look at really quick. This one is 44,000 base hull at level 60, a shield modifier of 0.85. Weapons are 5 forward, 2 aft. So a bit of the Raider type of setup in terms of weapons layout. Then you have a Lieutenant Tactical, Commander Tactical, Lieutenant Commander Engineering, Lieutenant Science/Intel, and Lieutenant Universal. So quite a bit of different seating wise.
Yes, it is. This one's definitely more of a tactical seating, tactical heavy. It's going to do more damage
Absolutely.
than less of a tank.
And the console layout actually lends to that, which I'm glad you said. It's 5 tactical, 3 engineering, and 2 science. Now keep in mind, as I'm reading these stats off, this is for the C-Store variations. The fleet versions will have slightly higher hull and an additional console. So, like I say, I can't remember what the extra console is for all these ships without going back and looking at them. I do own all 3 of them, but just off the top of my head, I can't remember that. But
They tell you in the lower down in the console list and all that.
does it tell in the blog?
No, I don't see it.
Oh no, you know? Oh, sorry. I thought I saw it. Never mind. My bad. Here I am giving more misinformation.
That's all good.
It's okay.
But anyway, and then a base turn of 15 degrees per second. That's pretty sizable for a base turn rate. That's, I want to think, about 2 degrees shy of a Defiant. So very, very well worth it if you're looking for a fast turning ship. And then it has the Escort slash Raptor package for Mastery, which will lend to your damage dealing. Then the Heavy Disruptor Spinal Cannons is the console for this ship. Very well worth it in my opinion if you like big giant weapons and you like to kick things in the face. Now, sure, there could be better, but if you're looking for a fun console, definitely something I'd advise you guys to check out.
And just a note on the Starship trait, Overwhelming Force. It does mention beam overload attacks will create a charged particle burst, but the really interesting one, or the really one that makes it worth it, is the high yield torpedo attacks will create a reduced radius photonic shockwave at the target's location. So if you're one of those nut jobs like me who occasionally enjoys doing a complete torp build, in other words, the only beams you have on there are to boost your torpedoes, this is definitely a trait to have.
Yeah, so definitely something I'm seeing a lot of our kinetic communities out there use and everything.
Yes.
Or if you're like me and you just enjoy having the occasional torpedo, definitely something you might enjoy.
Yes. And it was Odin Knight who first turned us all onto this trait and how great it can be for a torp boat.
So props to Odin for that, most definitely.
Yes.
Then for our final ship, we have the Allele Warbird Battlecruiser. This one is 49,000 base hull at level 60, a shield modifier of 1, a 4-forward layout, 4 device slots, and then for the BOF stations, you have Lieutenant Commander Tactical, Lieutenant Engineering, Commander Engineering, Lieutenant Science/Intel, and Lieutenant Universal. And then console layout, you have 3 TAC, 5 Engineering, and 2 Science, 10 degrees per second base turn. Far as overall abilities, kind of, in my opinion, leans more towards the battlecruiser. It can excel at escorty type jobs, and it can also do very well in the cruiser setups as well. And then the great thing that a lot of our people will probably like is it does come with the Romulan battle cloak. So you can cloak in the middle of battle, unlike the Klingon variation of the ship. So definitely something fun, can really pull your rear end out of a fire, if need be. Then the destabilizing...
Yes, very nice.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I said yes, very nice.
And then for our console, we have the destabilized singularity projector, which essentially you shoot a collapsing singularity towards the enemies, and it does a pretty decent amount of damage while reducing their damage resistance to exotic abilities. So this is things like your gravity wells, your subspace vortex, your DRBs, anything that does any type of exotic damage. So very great there. And then the trait, I think, is okay. Not really one I've used a lot, everything, but something different to check out and that you guys may end up liking.
Yes, definitely. I do want to note on the console, unfortunately, well, I mean, it can only be equipped on the Warbird Battlecruiser on this ship, but it can go anywhere in the consoles. It's a universal console, but it's only usable on this ship. So it's nice that it has the effect with the science abilities or the exotic abilities, but with only Lieutenant Science and Lieutenant Universal, I'm going to be honest, you're not going to have many exotic abilities.
No.
So it is a limited use on the console.
Yeah. That is the downside to it. Science players are probably not going to get too much use out of this. I mean, you could use it for a certain few abilities, but like Kirby's saying, your selection of science abilities is going to be very limited.
On this ship, yes.
Yeah, on this ship in particular.
Yeah, it might be working a little bit better if worked with 2 people, one person using this to lower their exotic resistance, and the other person, using all the exotic damage they can.
So if you're doing a support role and you fly with somebody who likes to do exotic damage, then you're going to be a really good support role with this. But if you're wanting to do exotic damage yourself, this, unfortunately, it is bound to the ship. So
So, yep, that is the downside to it. But
that is, unfortunately, a lot of people get disappointed when they find that kind of thing out.
yeah. So we just wanted to tell y'all up front, that way people aren't just like, ooh, yay, fun thing, and then get disappointed and whatnot. We'd rather y'all have all the information up front, that way there's no surprises. But
yes,
overall,
They're
definitely
good ships,
a good bundle, and y'all like it, I think. But
yes,
moving right along, we have, I believe, is this one still going? Yes,
The bonus
it is.
mark.
So we have
Yeah.
a bonus marks weekend for our console players, where you get increased rewards, everything on pretty much any thing that rewards marks that you do. Could be fleet marks, it could be reputation marks. So definitely now's the time to go and stack up on fleet marks, get that reputation, gear filled up on marks you've been looking at, the whole 9 yards. This will be running until Monday at 10 a.m. So get out
And
there
remember-
and farm.
and remember, if you're just looking to complete a reputation, if you do not have sponsorship tokens, that costs you 1,225 marks. If you have sponsorship tokens to complete a rep, only costs 625 marks. So, important note, if you're farming and aren't sure how many you need, there you go.
Yes, absolutely. So now's the good time to stack those marks up. That way you don't have to do that one reputation that you just absolutely despise later on, which for me is Terran. I'll flat out admit that. Yeah, just it's.
Yep.
I don't mind the battle zone. It's just the rep itself was just. Ugh.
Ugh,
Yeah.
I know what you mean.
But moving along, we have some PC patch notes for the 5th. This was just recently.
Yes.
Got a
Yes, it was.
select few little things. Nothing too terribly impressive that I see. But
Well,
go ahead.
there's a couple that stick out to me. So,
Okay.
one, the very first one, resolved a crash which would occur when deleting mail from the exchange that stated an item on the player's list had been sold. So basically, if you had mails from the exchange and you deleted a bunch of them, your game would crash. This happened to me. This happened to a few of my friends. It wasn't consistent, but it would happen. So you were playing a roulette wheel every time you deleted mails from your email. And it was very, very annoying, and I'm glad that they fixed this.
Yeah.
The other one was a little roulette wheel with the sea store. Apparently, the Sutherland-class advanced research vessel was costing 6,000 Zen instead of the 3,000, but it unlocked the Tier 6 cross-faction science bundle.
Huh.
Instead of the Sutherland. Yeah, I had to read that a few times to comprehend that. Exactly
So
what was
did.
going on there.
So
Yeah.
if you get this and you got all 3 ships, then you don't have
Yeah.
to worry about it.
That,
Yes,
yeah, they
exactly.
made that explicitly clear in the notes. So if you did buy the one ship
Yeah.
and everything, if you did do that and you were only intended to buy the one, good news is you get to keep the extra ships. Everything.
Yes, it will not change purchases
Yeah.
made prior to this update.
It's
So they're not going to steal your science bundle, don't worry.
yeah. It's pretty much the same cost as if you had bought the science bundle anyway. So they're just letting you
Yes.
keep the extra ships, essentially, is the way I took it. But
Yeah. Alright, and then the other one, now this is a correct note, added crafting weekend, but the way this is worded actually caused some confusion. Because normally we call it an R&D weekend, which is what's going on. You have bonus to your R&D projects, you get, and stuff like that. You get bonus XP for your R&D schools. But the way this is worded, there were some people that were confused, thinking this meant an upgrade weekend. So, yeah, and the only thing I'm going to say about it is consistency with wording. When you're dealing with large groups, you gotta be consistent, guys.
Yeah.
That's it. Just, if it's an R&D weekend, say it's an R&D weekend across the board.
Yep.
That way people don't get confused.
Yeah, definitely a little bit of confusion there, but thankfully they did clarify, so yeah.
Yeah, and it wasn't anything serious.
Yeah. Not too much else we can
Yeah.
really say beyond that, but anything stand out to you in particular out of these notes, Artie?
There were a few things that was just, some people were not able to use certain outfits and stuff. They fixed the Reman male's now able to use the Romulan veteran outfit, stuff like that. Other things like the temporal reputation apparently once said that it claimed that it needed Terran marks instead of the temporal marks, but it was only a text change problem. It was only a text change thing. It wasn't actually, accepting Terran marks. So, but that's about it from my end. Everything else seems normal. Just tweaking a little console here, repairing something that's bugged out over there.
Oh, there were a couple battle ones that I remembered. The molecular deconstruction beam, anti-time entanglement singularity, and polymorphic beret were able to be used while cloaked or phase shifted. Sorry guys, not no more. They fixed that.
And there's
And
also
anti-time, yeah.
Yep,
go ahead.
that's where I was going. Was the anti-time singularity could be used while the player's aux systems were offline. Yeah, that was...
Yeah, that runs off aux, so no.
I mean, sure, it sucks, but wasn't intended to start with, so better that it gets fixed than potentially leads to more stuff down the road.
Exactly.
Yeah, I had someone try to claim to me that it was, oh, I'm getting the power from the future. I don't have to worry about it. Nah, they know what they're doing. Don't worry.
Oh my god. That doesn't surprise me at all.
Anti-time. Anti-time. It goes backwards.
Well, I mean, they got a
Lordy.
point, but you know. But
Yeah.
we'll have this stuff in the notes for you guys so you can check this out for yourselves. Not really, like we're saying, too much to this and everything. But moving right along, Tony Todd joins Star Trek Online. Now, for those of you that may not remember, he will portray General Rodek. And he was also the person who portrayed Worf's brother Kern in Star Trek The Next Generation.
Well, for those that don't remember, General Rodek, in Deep Space Nine, you see Kern again, and you might want to watch the episode. I don't remember which episode it was, but we can look it up. But he does meet up with Worf again, and at the end of that episode, Worf ends up having his memory wiped clean, and his facial features altered. And they give him a new identity, and that identity is Rodek.
Yes.
So it is the same person, or the same character, just so he's continuing on that. And now he's a general.
It's basically, it tells in the blog here that it was done to give him a little bit of his honor back due to all the turmoil and everything that had happened before, but like Kirby's saying, you can get a lot more out of the episode, maybe from the blog itself. You might be able to glean a few little things, but yeah, that's pretty much what we've got as far as the major articles, everything this week. And there's Artie to the rescue with the episode. It is Deep Space Nine, the Sons of Moog episode.
Yeah,
There
I don't
you go. I
exactly
was just
have
looking
which
it up.
season, but yeah, that's the name of the episode.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Most
No
definitely.
problemo.
Thank you for that. But, moving right along, we have our budget build for this week. And since we're doing the winter event, a lot of people are probably coming into that, or have come into that recently. We decided to do a Chelbolg build for you guys this week. And in keeping with the Breen spirit, I decided to actually use the Breen set on the ship this go-around. As just a little bit of something different. far as the weapons go, we used a Polaron build because that kind of fits with the Dominion feel of it and the Breen feel because that was one of the main things they used. For the majority of our weapons, we have 6 of the Dominion Polarons. Now these come from the Boldly They Rode mission, so you get to hear a rather famous line in the game now a few times. Everything.
Curling here.
And there it is. Which, yeah, much respect to Bordicus and everything for putting up with the grief that people give him over that line and everything. But we also have, for our other weapons, the Chronometric Polaron Beam Array and the Omni Beam in the back. These, along with our Chronometric Capacitor, come from the Time and Tide mission. And what is so good about these is actually the 3-set bonus that they give you, which is a boost to exotic damage and energy damage for a short period of time. I believe it's 31% exotic and 15% energy damage, if I'm remembering right off the top of my head. So, very nice if you're looking to crack a bunch of exotic abilities off or science-based powers really quickly. Then, for our Breen set, this one, like I said, I wanted to use more so to keep with the Breen spirit and to shake things up a little bit. Now, the shields, the engines, and the deflector you actually get from the Breen story arc, and the warp core itself you actually get from the winter event. So, now's the time to get the warp core for all of you guys out there that are wanting to complete the set or may want to take it for a test drive. Now, it is a plasma integrated warp core, so you do get the increased power generation levels that those types of cores provide. But definitely worth it, and it also gives you the Breen Energy Siphon, another nice little thing that you can have as well. So, can be used for a drain build. Overall, the shield set itself is pretty good in my opinion for running drain type of builds. Then,
well, I think the big thing on it is if you don't have the plasmonic leech, if you're, just coming up to 50, you haven't raised the 3 million, and you just don't have it yet, this can be a good way to manage your power levels without it.
Absolutely. But, anyway, as far as our devices go, I personally like to think of devices as personal preference. There's not really any set in stone. You have to have this device. But, I slotted the particle flood batteries and the energy amplifiers, so depending on the situation you're in, if you want to drop a lot of science abilities, you've got the particle flood that you can use. If you want to go for pure energy damage, then you have the energy amplifiers. And if you need an oh crap I'm gonna die type of device, then you have the subspace field modulator. So definitely some good devices all around there. Now, we are doing a mid-range budget build, so for our mid-range budgets, if you guys remember the parameters that we do for that, is a maximum spending limit EC-wise of 30 million, and we assume that you have enough dilithium to take one item up to epic quality. So that's why you are seeing some epic items on the ship itself. For our engineering consoles, keeping with the spirit of a Breen ship, we decided to use the console that actually comes with the ship. Now, if you remember the Dominion War episodes from Deep Space Nine, then you'll recognize this console because it gives you that Breen energy draining effect that did so much damage to the Federation at one point during the war. But for one of our money consoles we have is the Plasmonic Leech. As Kirby was saying, they're going for about 3 million at the time that we recorded this, so not too terribly much, but if you're just starting out, or if you're on a brand new tune, or don't have a lot of resources, they can be more on the expensive side. But either way, definitely a great console to have, pretty much a staple for a lot of ships, especially if you're looking for drain abilities. This is a console you're going to want to have. Then we have our Bioneural Gel Pack. This comes from the Delta reputation and gives 7% bridge officer cooldown reduction, so very nice to have. Then we have our assimilated module, which comes from the Omega reputation and gives some nice critical chance and critical severity boosts. Eventually, you may want to look into replacing this with the tachyokinetic converter or the bioneural infusion circuits once you get to the higher levels of gear. For our science consoles, we used 3 of the Dranex ×2 exotic particle focusers from the Chronom Science Lab and everything. Now, I realize these do look like the plasma exploding embassy consoles. This is actually the old icon that hasn't been updated from the change yet.
Ages and ages ago. Yeah.
Ages and ages ago. Maybe they'll get around to it eventually, but for now, just keep that in mind. Now, we went with the Dranex ×2 to boost the draining effects of the Polarons, and just because, why not? Now, these consoles, you can get a set of 4 of these pretty much in a day if you want to. Actually, I take that back. 3 of those in a day because they're 2,500 dilithium apiece. Very, very cheap consoles. Very easy on the fleet credits and everything. So, very nice there. And I did find a mission for you guys that gives some very good tactical consoles on the cheap, actually for free. These are the directed energy distribution manifolds. So there's 3 of those at very rare Mark 11. These actually come from one of the final missions in the Yesterday's War story arc. I just found those the other day by accident.
It is important to note with these that these are not energy specific, so you can use these with any energy type.
Yes, so if you want to use disruptors, if you want to use phasers, if you want to use Tetrion, whatever it is, they are not energy specific, as Kirby said, so they work with anything. Now, the downside is you are leaving a little bit of percentage on the table because they're not energy type specific, which it's not going to be a lot of damage, but it is worthy of a mention.
But it is better to have, if you don't have the EC to buy these, and they can, energy specific tactical consoles off the exchange, especially at the higher marks, can be quite expensive these days. So, if you don't have the EC to buy it and you're looking for something, it's better to have these than nothing at all. Or than, say, your Mark IV that you got from a mission ages and ages ago and you don't have the, the ability to level up. It's better to have, some of these than nothing at all, or something that's very outdated or much lower level.
Absolutely. Now, one thing I will mention because of the story arc that you get them from. Now, let me see. I should still be logged in on my character. Alright, now one thing I will mention, because it does come from the Yesterday's War story arc. Now, you may be able to see on this particular character that there's only 2 missions here. And if I pull this one up, I believe, let me see. Okay, it doesn't show the rewards, core of the matter, where's it at? Alright, now if I scroll down on this one, you can see it doesn't give these consoles. Now, with regular story arcs, if you bring them up, let's say the Nimbus story arc, you can see every single mission in that arc, even before you get to them. That's not the case with Yesterday's War. So, once I go and complete the core of the matter on this tune, it will unlock the ability to play the other missions all the way through. So, I did want to mention that for you guys. That way, if you do go and check out those consoles, you don't get confused as to why the mission isn't there. But, anyways, moving right along for our final tactical console, we have the chronometric capacitor, and this was the console that we took to epic quality. Now, this one is energy type specific, and it is for Polarons, so that will be your energy type specific console. This is also completing the 3 set for our chronometric beam arrays and everything. So that's pretty much our equipment loadout and everything. So pretty greenish, I guess we could say.
Yes.
But take a quick look at our skills. Now our skills, you've probably, I guarantee at this point, if you've paid attention to any of my tank builds that I do, you've seen this build quite a few times. Probably may have it memorized by heart by now for some people. And everything. See the lieutenant commander setup that I use there. You can see the commander and captain setup. And then also the admiral setup. Now, as I've explained before to some people... Oh, go ahead.
I do have a question. Did you mean to put only 1 energy training and 2 points into torpedoes?
What did I... Crap. Okay, I see what I did. I see what I did.
Something's not right there.
Yeah.
I was about to say, you have no torpedoes. Yeah.
Only 1 point into energy.
Okay, so I make a... There's my big and stupid for starting the year out. Okay, so this is what it's really supposed to look like. I'll update this for everybody beforehand and everything. I tried to bullcrap... I'll just tell y'all the truth. I bullcrapped this in about 20 minutes before we started the show. So...
And it's a really good build.
Yeah. Like I said, I bullcrapped it in 20 minutes before the show, so that's pretty much it. That's why that happened. So yeah. So that's what the lieutenant should really look like. Everything. And this is what commander and captain should look like. And, of course, admiral. Yeah. So now that I've established my own mental instability and stupidity and everything, as I was going to say, I personally don't use the ultimate abilities that often, if at all, on any of my characters. Now, they do have their uses. They can definitely be great. The tactical, the science, and even the engineering I've seen have some uses lately. But it really depends on the person. I personally feel like I'm giving too much up in other areas to warrant using the ultimate abilities, so that's why I don't typically go for them. But if you're somebody that wants to try one of them out, absolutely go for it. They're very good abilities, very fun to use, and everything, but that's just me. For our specializations...
I'm surprised...
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I am surprised you didn't put a point in drain infection, given the active training you have on that build. You're going to a bit of DPS out of it.
You can, and it's definitely one that you could use. I never liked drain infection. I mean, some people like it. I just wasn't for me, if that makes sense. I didn't think it did enough.
Okay.
But like Kirby said, definitely check it out. You could definitely use it. I say this is just a template for you guys. Everything. Maybe you can get some ideas, and if you can outperform this build, absolutely, by all means, go for it. That's one thing we want to see, is people being able to do great. Then for our primary specialization, I typically run with Pilot because of a lot of the immunities and defensive abilities that it can give you. And then we have Strategist for our secondary. Now, some people like to use Temp Ops or perhaps Intel as a primary. It really depends on the build and the person. For tanking, these are just the ones that I like to use. But quickly, let's go to our traits, assuming it will pull up for me. Now, the traits is where some of our EC gets spent on our Blade of Shell trait. You should probably recognize this one by now. Whenever it procs, it gives a bit of health back to you, as well as some damage resistance for a short time. This one is acquired from the Infinity Lockbox or off of the exchange at this point, and in my opinion is a must-have for all tanks. But as far as our other traits, we have Beam Barrage from the Beam R&D school. Once you get that to 15, you'll unlock the ability to slot the trait. Then we have Beam Training, which is a free trait that you'll get just by leveling your character. We have Elusive for free defensive value, also a free trait that you're given. Then we have the Give Your All from the Engineering R&D. Now, I realize the R&D traits do take a while to obtain, but It's my assumption that people are going to level 1, maybe 2 of the schools as they're leveling their character. Maybe a friend's going to tell them, maybe some random person in Zone's going to tell them, or they're just going to decide to do it on their own. And my assumption is beams and engineering is what they went with. But for our other traits, we have Last Ditch Effort. Now this is the tactical career-specific trait. If you're an engineering or a science officer, you'll replace Last Ditch Effort with your career's trait as well, be it for science or for engineering. Then we have the Point Blank Shot. This actually comes from the House Peg mission in the Iconian arc. And then we have Fleet Coordinator, which is a bit of free damage based on your party size. Then we have as well the Imposing Presence for free threat generation, which is always nice to have, especially if you're running as a tank. Then for our starship traits, we have the Improved Pedal to the Metal for piloting. And we have the Best Defense, also from the House Peg mission, which buffs your attack patterns to give you a hull healing buff, along with normal effects. Now for our Space Reputation abilities, I decided to mix this up a little bit from the normal. And I know Kirby's probably going to pick up on it, Artie's probably going to pick up on it as well, for our Space Reputation abilities. I'm not using one that a lot of people normally do. This time we have
Tier 4.
That would be it. We have the Advanced Targeting Systems for free crit severity. We have the Precision from the Romulan Reputation for free critical chance. Then we have Energy Refrequencer from the Iconian Reputation, because of the healing that it gives you for your damage you deal. And then, just to try something different, to see how well it would work out, we have the Chronocapacitor Array, which is free Bridge Officer cooldown reduction. I believe 7% is the exact number, roughly. And
I believe so.
And this, from what I've observed, does stack with your Bioneural Gel Pack. So you're essentially getting 14% cooldown reduction right there. So, very nice to have and everything. If you want to use the new Kara, you most definitely can. I just wanted to try something different this time around.
That's fine.
And for active reputation...
let me see.
Oh, go ahead.
It says 7.5% Bridge Officer ability recharge speed.
Okay, so a little bit more than 7%. That's good.
Yep.
Then we have, for our active reputations, the Anti-Time Entanglement Singularity. Very nice one to have from the Temporal, once you max that out at Tier 5. Then we have our Biomolecular Shield Generator. And that one, essentially, if you've gone into a mission, you've seen a giant green spherical bubble pop up that a lot of your teammates duck into. That's what this is. It's a 22% reduction, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly. So, very nice to have whenever you're in a pinch in the middle of combat. Then you have the Quantum Singularity Manipulation, which gives a science buff and also temporarily grants you a cloaking effect. So, very, very nice to have, and very nice to buff your science abilities. Now, a combination that me and Kirby like to do is to actually pop this ability first. Then if we've got maybe our exotic battery or any other exotic boost, such as the Polaron boost, you can combo the Quantum Singularity, you can combo your Chronometric set, and you can combo your exotic battery all in one go, and then drop a very high Gravity Well or this Anti-Time Singularity, and you're going to do a lot of damage.
Or here's one, you can pop the Gravity Well and then the Anti-Time Singularity at the same time and do a heck of a lot of damage.
Absolutely. So, point being, you've got options with this ship. I wanted to make it something with all around, and all this will come together when we show the Bridge Officer abilities here in a moment as to why I built a science nuke into the ship as well. Then we have our Deploy Sensor Interference platform. Essentially, you throw a little platform out, it taunts off of you, and is very nice to have. But, anyway, let's go to the Bridge Officers. Assuming the page will load. There it is. Now, one thing I do want to mention, because you guys are going to see it on the stream, and you're going to see it later on in the local recording, is on the builder, the ship says that it is a temporal operative ship. That is not the case. That's not been updated since last time. Now, whenever the ship was originally announced, we were getting to see the stats. The original blog did say that it was going to be a temporal operative ship. However, that was changed not long after the ship came out. People started noticing, wait a minute, the bridge officer seatings are messed up. So Cryptic went back and clarified what the ship was actually supposed to have, and what the ship was actually supposed to have was an intel seat instead of temporal operative. So that's pretty much a leftover from that. So whenever we get to that station, I'll explain what I have slotted there for you guys. But for the Lieutenant Commander Universal, I decided to go with a Science Officer. We have our Hazard Emitters 1. Pretty standard, removes hazards such as plasma fire, heal over time, a bit of damage resistance. We have a Feedback Pulse, just because, hey, free damage, nice little kick in the pants. Sometimes the enemy kills themselves. Then we have our Gravity Well for keeping enemies up. See, she knows what I mean. She knows what I mean. She's done it.
Yep, I know what you mean.
Then for our Ensign Universal seat, we went with an Engineer so we could slot our emergency power to weapons. For our Commander Tactical, this is where we got a good bit of power with it. We've got a Tactical Team 1, a Chemosite 2. This one you will have to pick up off the exchange, or from the Infinity Lockbox. They usually go from about 1 million to 4 million, depending on which rank of the ability you get. This one is rank 2, so I believe it was 2.5 last time I looked, somewhere around there. Then we have our Beam Fire at Will 3.
Rather cheap.
So yeah, definitely cheap. We have Beam Fire at Will 3. This lets us smack anything in range with our beams. Pretty much self-explanatory. And then, since we have a Commander Tactical seat, we can get some higher ranked abilities than we normally would for our attack patterns. And did the stream just crap, or is that just me?
Well, we can hear you still. At least I can hear you over TeamSpeak.
I can hear you.
I don't know about the stream, though.
Stream seems to still be going.
Okay.
I'm just going to assume that's
Everyone's probably going to be confused.
Browser. But yeah. So, if anybody's wondering what's going on, if y'all can still hear me, my internet browser's acting weird. Usually whenever I'm streaming and everything for you guys, I have it up on the internet browser in addition to XSplit and all that other stuff, just to make sure I'm still broadcasting, and it black screened on me over there. So that's what I'm seeing in case anybody's curious.
It's still showing the budget build.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Good. Okay. So yeah.
Can you do this blind?
Yeah, just wanted to tell you guys, that way y'all aren't confused, so that's what I'm seeing on my end. But anyway, getting back to the budget build. Now, I did go with an attack pattern Delta 3 this time around, something that I don't normally get to use a lot. Now, attack pattern Delta is good because it can be cast on yourself or on a teammate.
Or on, yes.
Or on the enemy as well.
Now, the important thing to remember with Delta, though, is that the debuff on the enemies only applies if the enemies are shooting at the person who has it applied to them. So if you cast it on yourself, in order for the debuff to be applied to the enemy has to shoot at you. So if you don't get a lot of threat, if nothing's shooting at you, is not a great one to have. If you're going in, tanking, pulling threat like a mofo, and everything's shooting at you, and they're going, get him, shoot him, shoot him, shoot him. Excellent trait to have. Or excellent ability to use.
Most definitely. But,
yeah.
If you're going to be tanking, odds are you're probably going to be pulling the threat, so this is one that I like to have. It's one that I've got a lot of use out of recently. Especially since I was able
Yes.
to get lucky and pop a Delta Prime trait recently on my main tune. But even
Nice.
without Delta Prime, it's still a very great ability to have and everything.
Yes.
But like Kirby's saying, the one weakness of the ability is it does require the person to get hit in order to apply the debuff. Now, you could also, if you don't want to use Delta, you could look into picking up a Beta 3. You could also look into picking up an Omega 3. Point being, you have options here. But, like I say, that's our tactical abilities and everything. A fairly rounded set of abilities, I like to think. Then for our Lieutenant Engineering,
Yes, it is.
I went with a Engineering Team 1 and a Reverse Shield Polarity 1. Engineering Team purges certain debuffs, gives a little chunk of hull back. Reverse Shield Polarity allows us to recharge our shields in a pinch. Kind of self-explanatory there, in my personal opinion. Then we come to our Lieutenant Commander Science / Intel. Now again, like I say, it does say temp ops on the build page here, but it's supposed to be Intel, everything. But I did include in the notes section for you guys a note explaining what the blank slots are supposed to be, which I'm also getting ready to do here in a second.
Let me guess. OSS.
It definitely does make an appearance. For first ability, we have the Science Team 1. I like to have it because it purges certain debuffs, such as subnucleonic effects, and is a decent little shield heal as well. Some people don't like it. I personally do. That's just me, because I'm weird. For our Lieutenant ability on this station, I went with OSS 2, because, you know, why not? It allows us a nice power boost, allows us a nice little bit of damage increase, all that good stuff from that. Then for our final ability, I originally had slotted a Surgical Strikes here, because it allows you to engage a single target and do a lot of damage on them. If you don't want to use Surgical Strikes, you could use another type of science ability, you could use another Intel ability. That one to me was a bit more flexible as far as what you could put there. But,
Okay.
so, you've got options with this ship and everything. I wanted to build it so you've got two ways of engaging the enemy, because you do have very flexible seating. You can go pretty much balls to the wall and try to shoot them down with your beams. If your beams are having a hard time and everything, you can drop a science nuke as well on them. Through your gravity wells, through your anti-time. So you've got two very big trump cards built into the ship, which is what I was going for. But,
Okay.
overall, you can kind of see the notes. I made clear where you can get everything and whatnot. Also laid out the parameters for the budget build itself. But anyway, that's pretty much all we have for a budget build. Overall, I think I spent around 20 mil and everything on the ship itself. Maybe a little bit less. I don't remember the exact number. So overall, that's pretty much our budget build for this week. As far as the bugs go, I don't really have a lot of bugs this week for you guys like I normally do, but one bug in particular I do want to touch base on. If you're like me, and especially since they've been trying to push to DirectX 11, you may have been getting a lot of disconnects lately. Such as every 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever it is, it just boots you out of the game for no reason. Now, I was able to run a couple of tracers, and Kirby was actually here with me while I was doing that, and I was able to get some interesting information and pass on to the devs. Hopefully they're able to make some use of it. If not, then, well, at least we tried. So that is one big thing that we may have found some information for you guys. Hopefully they'll be able to use that to get a fix out for everybody pretty soon, whatnot. I did find for you guys, you might, and this may work for some of you, it may not work for all of you, so just take this as a possibility, I guess. What I found for me was that my on-demand patching had got turned back on. somewhere or another within one of the recent patches without me knowing it. Whenever I turned it back off, the game forced through a 7 gigabyte patch, which has seemed to fix quite a few of the issues. It's not 100%, but it did help quite a bit. So that's one thing you could try. I'm not going to guarantee it'll work for everybody, but it's worth a shot. But anyways, that's pretty much all I've got for the Buggy Corner for this week. May have some extra stuff for y'all next week. I don't know. I guess we'll just kind of have to play that one by ear when we get there. But moving right along into our next segment, we have Teacher's Corner, and we have the unlocking extra DOF traits and reputation slots. Take it away,
yes.
Teacher Kirby.
So I put this up before I knew we weren't going to run last week. So it's been up on my on my site for a while. So basically, I show where to go, because this actually came up in chat. Somebody that I know knows a lot of the things about the game could not remember where to go to pick up the extra duty officer slot, the active duty officer slot for when you're in ground and space. And so I was like, okay. So I made that my my Teacher's Corner. So I show where to go to pick up the extra active duty officer assignment slots. I show where to go to pick up the extra active duty officer slots for when you're fighting in space and on ground. I show where to pick up all the 5th ship traits, 5th space rep traits, 5th ground rep traits, and you know, the 5th oh my goodness, and the 5th active reputation traits. You know, so I go through everything, all the extra stuff they got. I show you where to find it.
Sweet.
So yeah, and I also show how much it's going to cost, and I show exactly when you beam into the place, where do you walk to, and all that stuff.
I will admit I got lost the first time I tried to go there. I will freely admit that.
I know.
They have lines on the floor for a reason.
Yeah, I know, and I still got lost. If that says anything.
Yep.
Those darn tactical captains. Bunch of idiots can't follow a line on the floor. But yeah. Just a little friendly joke there for all of our tactical captains out there. And I play tactical myself, so I'm more ribbing myself than anybody else. But yeah.
Yep,
but,
we know.
Anyways, that's what we've got for Teacher's Corner this week. And coming up now in our final segment, we have the RP Corner with Artie. What do you got for us this week, dude?
Okay, so a few people have asked me, hey, Artie, I've got my fleet doing these certain RP events, and I've been wanting to pitch in with my own ideas. What should I do? What can I come up with? Well, I've made a little bit of a play-by-play of what you can do. To start out, have a general idea of what you're thinking of doing. Like, are you planning on making a addition to the story? Are you extending plot development, character development even? Are you introducing a new species, area in the local space that your role-playing fleet's at? Or are you new characters or a new villain even part of the story? As soon as you get the general idea of that, you have to expand it a little bit. Have an idea of where this is going to take place. Like, are you going to run into this part of the story on a abandoned as ruins of some ancient civilization? Are you just going to hear a distress beacon and you go straight to it? You have to come up with these little details of what this full event you're coming up with. As the general ideas of put together, some people wonder who they could ask. Well, depending on the type of role-playing fleet you have, some of them have a group of game masters that usually run the events, or a story council that has the collective main mission for the fleet. Some people, when they come up with a new idea for like running an event, they bring it up to either of these groups and have them discuss about the event, about what your idea is. They will tell you, hey, if you want Q in there, I'm not going to say that's a bad idea, but it's not entirely a good. Some Q just, popping up to every starship captain. That's a little odd, don't you think? Some other GMs would probably be all gun ho for that. Who knows? Depends on your local GM, I would guess. Depending on it depends on if your idea is probable. Can't speak today. Probable.
Plausible. Probable.
That's it.
There you go.
Either one. See if it could work with how the story of your fleet or your character or whatever ship you're on is going. If you're adding that event in as the next mission, see if that would somehow connect. Because having your ship being somewhere near Alpha Centauri, just running a supply drop, and then somewhere in the middle of the Badlands, like 2 days later, fighting off a bunch of Borg for no reason, it doesn't really correlate. It's like a real big jump in just 2 days. You gotta play around a little bit. Yes, I mean is some points of Star Trek that you gotta play around with it. Some episodes go on for in story-wise weeks at a time. You could time wobble it, as we say. Say a couple days have passed or something. It doesn't matter. It's just general things that some GMs that will ask you about your event. After they nitpick and help you modify or complete your idea, it's how you feel about the idea now. Is it closer to what you were hoping for? Is it further away? Depends on how you look at it. You have to probably modify it a little bit more if need be. It goes in somewhat of not a strict code. Depends on what your fleet's about. In my experience, some events go through a similar process of this. I have an idea, I have the location, I have who I actually think will be most likely there for this event. It'd be a little bit of story progression for the fleet itself, maybe some character development on certain characters I know will be there. And it's just, as soon as you get to, other GMs coming to help assist, make sure everything's put together all right, do you still want to go along with it, is the other thing. I've seen some people, new GMs and all that, have an idea that they think is so wonderful, and then after other GMs nitpick through it and throw out their idea, they don't want to do it anymore. It doesn't feel like... Well, don't let that distraught you. Or making new events and stuff like that. Just means that event may need to be modified a little bit more to make it more acceptable for whatever story is going on. Because you can't just have, like I said, Q drop in and drop a whole bunch of things on the front porch and just leave. I mean, it's something that he'll probably do, but you can't just have that just willy-nilly every 5 seconds. It doesn't seem completely right, I guess you can say.
It would seem to me like possibly the Q mechanic might be something that some people would consider overused.
Right. More or less with what I was getting with this is that it's just a simple process of, keeping with, your mind going, trying to come up with events, helping other players that want making new stories for them if they want to come up with character. So you're just placing a block for others to help with, and then the story goes on as more people place more blocks. It's a building process. That's all it is. So sooner or later, once after a few events go on, you start seeing your final goal for as a story arc goes, like in in-game campaigns, the beginning and the end goal for it. Like, I'm going to use the Marine arc for the example. You start out with, oh, you're dropping off an ambassador at the ferry or whatever, and then you end on stopping a Marine guy from getting restricted technology from the preservers, or I can't remember their names, but you have the beginning and the end, like that. So you have to have a little bit of a broad opening to what you think your story is going to be about. It's take it as your own, take it with a pinch of salt, is how it is.
Seems like a pretty good guide all around.
Yeah. Nice bit of advice.
Yep.
Absolutely. But, anyways, folks, that's pretty much what we've got this week for our show. Hope everybody's off to a safe and happy New Year so far, and we hope that continues to be the case for everybody. But, and if you're somebody out there that's gotten hit with a lot of this snow, at least like we have around here in my area, stay safe, stay warm, everything. But, anyways, folks, once again, we hope you're having a very happy New Year. Oh, and we did forget one thing, apparently.
Oh, Survey Monkey.
Yeah. So, yeah, okay. Brain fart. So, really quickly before we go, is definitely check out your email and everything really quick. And you may have a survey on the surveymonkey.com website. We'll include this in the notes for you guys so you can check it out. But it's basically a feedback thing on lockboxes, all that good stuff. You can give them some feedback, let them know what you think. You know, do you like it? Do you not like it? How do you want them to do the lockbox cycles, all that good stuff. But
yes, STO is requesting your feedback.
Yes. Very, very glad that we caught that, or I would have forgot. But anyways, with my forgetful brain and everything, that's the pilot review show for this week and everything. And for now, folks, we are signing off.
See ya.
Bye. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.